Hey guys, so this is my second video I'm putting together on the internet changing. So this video I want to talk about how this is actually changing us in a social way. The important thing to remember about the internet is it's only really as good as really in terms of like an economic sense. It's only really as good as how many people are using it. So when you look at the internet, what's really changed in the kind of the recent past is the accessibility and availability of the technology. More importantly, like cell phones, computers. The cost of making these things has gone down, and so as a result, you have a lot more affordable technology, like some of the cheaper smartphones that are like $50 versus how they've been for a while when they first came out, like the iPhone, and that was, I don't even remember, it was like $700. So now there's phones and things that give you access to the internet and applications and programs that are really easy to use to run a business off of. Those have all gotten really, really cheap. And so now you have a situation where we're getting a lot more people coming online. And because of the ease of using it, you have apps like Uber, apps like, I'm trying to think, apps like Reddit, where you can post and share information, apps like YouTube, where you can record video content, apps like Instagram, where you can take pictures and share your life. So the difference between how it was before and how it was now is, in the past you had to pay for hosting your own website. You had to pay to upload pictures, to upload video, and now that the technology has gotten just a lot more affordable, you have everyday users who can use it for relatively cheap, or literally as much as it costs to buy the data, as they call it now, like through Verizon, AT&T, all those different companies, and then you have companies overseas in Europe, in Africa, in Asia. Their technology has increased, so the cost has gone down for using lots of data, but the difference now between, like I mentioned before, where you have these companies that are acting as a middleman versus people who are creating literally like software or programs that once they're put out there, they no longer really cost that much to operate independently, where like basically you have programs that these technologies are coming up with on the blockchain, where once they're implemented and once they're put out there, it's really just a matter of updating the software, catching glitches and errors in the codes, and really maybe as far as operational costs are concerned, it's about maybe how it interfaces with the actual users. For instance, like I said, maybe the actual usage of internet, the usage of computing power, where you're having lots of people all on the same network, like I was mentioning, solving a problem, a mathematical problem together in order to actually add one more block. Because one thing I didn't mention before in the last video was how the blockchain works is every time a block is sealed up, it's as a result of somebody solving that problem that basically locks it in, and when they solve a problem, it actually provides a reward, and that reward is usually in the form of a currency, and those currencies are typically what they call like a digital currency. People are calling it a cryptocurrency because the nature of blockchain dealing with cryptography, so they kind of just lumped the two together. And if you've heard a lot of news about Bitcoin, it's because Bitcoin was one of the first coins to do with a blockchain that had its value just really skyrocket. People were trading it back and forth. It started out where you could have 10,000 of these coins, and it might be worth, in comparison to the US dollar, something like $10 or $15. Whereas nowadays you have one of these coins is worth something like, I think right now it's like $6,500 for just one. So the difference between how it's working socially in the past and socially now is you have the ability to participate in the transaction process. You have the ability to participate in people are building marketplaces where you can trade stuff using the digital currency. Now, that's usually like kind of like the front end, what you and I might actually be experiencing on the front end in the future is really going to be really not that confusing. So the reason I'm going through this on the social end is technologically, the average person isn't really going to care, first of all, how it technically works, as long as it does. And two, really the only reason you would want to understand stuff in a technological way is if you want to actually run stuff on it, if you want to operate a business on it, or if you want to make money off of it, or find some kind of functional use in your daily life, that you can improve it by improving your understanding. But what I wanted to get into socially in this video is to talk about how this could potentially change the way that our society works. Now, there's a lot of ideas out there for how this technology could actually be applied. So a few of the different ways that they've come up with in ways of applying it and ways that have actually already been used is in banking systems. So the issue with banking systems in the past is, like I was mentioning before, how it all comes down to one central area, like an actual physical hard drive somewhere that needs to be physically protected and protected with software also, like security basically. How that's changing now is what they call distributed ledgers. And that's part of the blockchain technology where in the past a bank will basically have one central place where as long as that one central place says that a transaction happened, that's what they go off of. And so if you attack that place or if something happens to it, like we've been seeing a lot of hacks recently like Target and things like that, those are situations where somebody has actually attacked a centralized location storing your private information, and they've found a way to get that information out and to copy it. And as a result, they've used it to pull money out of people's accounts, use their card information, and buy stuff, withdraw money with that, because they had, your personal information. The difference between now and in the past is now they're looking at ways, sorry, the prayer's coming. Now they're looking at ways where they can actually take that ledger or like the record of the transactions that have happened, and they actually spread that same information out to several different locations. And those several different locations are people like you and me, and all they have to do is download a program onto their computer. Sometimes they have to have specialized chips or like video cards or stuff like that to help them solve these problems. And otherwise, they download a copy of that ledger and they participate in the process of adding information to that ledger by solving problems and getting rewards for solving those problems, sealing up those little transactions in little boxes, like blockchains, and adding them to their record where they can no longer be changed once a certain number of blocks has been added afterwards. And so everybody in that group of people who downloaded that program and are solving that problem together, they all have copies of that. And once they're verified with each other and everybody agrees, it's all sealed permanently and it will never change ever again, ever, ever, ever. So what's cool about that is you no longer have to depend on one company's actual attitudes and behaviors towards how to secure that information. You no longer have to depend on the employees that work in that business and whether or not you can trust them. You don't have to worry about background checks, all those things having actually been done because you're worried about maybe an ethical issue with the company. None of that matters anymore, because when you're working with an actual, just a specific program, a software running those transactions, it's a matter of how secure that program is, how encrypted that information is. And we've gotten to a point now in this age where it's and not even with quantum computing can they really crack it and invade that information and take it away. So what's really cool about that is it's leveraging middlemen and companies out of the situation so that they no longer collect fees and transaction information in one place. That, I wonder if this is too loud. I hope it's too loud, not too loud. But they're no longer collecting that information in one place, so it's safe. They can no longer, as a result of providing the convenience of doing these transactions for you, they can no longer charge these crazy fees like overdraft fees, interest fees, all of that for hanging on to your money, because in the new blockchain system, your money is no longer sitting in one specific location. It's sitting on the blockchain, which is held as multiple copies by a bunch of different people. So no one person can be attacked and have that information be subject to being changed, because in a different way, you don't really need a middleman. So when it comes to applications like Uber or Airbnb, or all these new apps that you see coming out, where they've come up with a program that matches somebody who wants to buy something with someone who wants to sell something, and then charges a fee for matching them up and providing a way for them to communicate, and for someone to basically be the middleman that these two people trust, to make sure that actually changes hands in the way that they want it to. Now that it'll be done through programs, they've found a way to make it so that nobody really has to trust one person, that it's actually built on the software and built on the large groups of people verifying that everything is happening and that it's a permanent record. So why I'm excited about it specifically is this is decreasing our costs of doing everyday things that we now have the convenience of doing on our smartphone, like banking, for instance. One of the biggest things with these blockchains is, as a result of having to use currency to reward the people who are doing the work on the blockchain, these currencies actually start to increase in value because they trade them between people. And it's all related to how that currency is actually used in the system or in the program. So I'm going to provide one example, and that's a technology that somebody's basically they're using blockchain technology to create a marketplace, and it's called Safex, Safex. And so what they're doing is they've used the blockchain technology, this idea of using cryptography and problem solving and decentralized ledgers and stuff like that. They're using this technology to design a marketplace that's completely anonymous. And what they do is they have set it up so that the money is funneled through and split up and sent through lots of different people, and then they change hands again, and then they change hands again, and then eventually that money is consolidated and then sent to this other person, so that nobody ever sees how exactly this money made it from here to here, that it's what they call obfuscated, or kind of disguised as tons and tons of people making small transactions, when in reality it's just one person sending like $200 to this person. And so they can actually exchange information, services, products without revealing who it came from and who it went to. So what's great about that is you have a privacy. And so I am personally really, really passionate about privacy, because we have obviously seen in the recent years how difficult it is to really trust that a company is taking care of your privacy and managing it in an ethical way. You have issues like Facebook and social media, where they're actually using your information, selling it to companies in exchange for lots and lots of money, more money than you might realize. And in exchange for your privacy, they're giving you the convenience of using their programs. And the design of these marketplaces is going to replace a lot of issues like that. They also have applications being designed where they're using cryptography and the blockchain to allow you to securely privately communicate with anyone you want to using that program, and none of that information is stored in any one place. It's all secured and hidden through cryptography. And so you can literally text your friend, hey, something really embarrassing, right? And you can trust that nobody is ever going to have an opportunity to just take a peek at what's happening in your private life. And you can trust that your private banking information, that your transactions and your bank account numbers and wallet numbers are never going to be revealed to any one party. And so, like I said, it's really, really important that we look at how the internet is changing, because this is an opportunity for us to have privacy, to have real security, to not have to trust large companies who really their only incentive in providing you these applications is money. And a program isn't seeking money. A program is seeking just enough fuel to process the transaction, and that's it. And that fuel is provided by your average Joe running a computer in his house, a computer program that's safe, and he's getting a reward for doing that work with currency. So it's a nice little system of reward and work where you, the end person who's actually using these programs, is completely safe and completely private, and you're able to run your life how you want to without being observed, which I think is really, really important. I'm going to break that down in another video, because I feel like privacy is honestly one of the biggest parts of living a life where you feel like you can be who you want to be without fear of judgment, without fear of being manipulated, without having your information put out in public places without your permission or without your knowledge, or being manipulated into giving up that information in exchange for the convenience of technology that I feel should be free. I feel like that's something I'm very passionate about, and I'm going to open up in another video talking about privacy and about social media and about technology that we're using these days that's just, I think, ethically questionable. So if you have any questions about this and about the applications, I would love to share more. I'd like to break up some more individual applications that I'm particularly connected to, like Safex. I'd like to make a video on Safex and how it works, because I'd love to share that information with you guys, because in the future this application is coming out very soon, and I think it would be great for sharing any kind of services or products that you're looking to sell through the internet. Obviously, I'm not suggesting that you avoid taxes, that you engage in criminal behavior, and I think I'll get into that later on the blockchain technology, because they've actually come up with ways to reward good ethical behavior, and to what they call disincentivize, or basically punish through cost, punish criminal behavior through basically reputation systems, where they allow the people using the marketplace to actually bump up and bump down people's reputations for performing admirably and ethically, and to punish them for behaving unethically and criminally. So I think it's something I'm really excited about. I'd love to talk more about this with you guys. So please, if you like what I'm talking about, hit the like button, subscribe to see some more videos, because I'm going to be talking about this, as well as how I feel like this is going to affect us in a psychological way, as a global community coming together, being able to finally act freely, to ask for the things that we want, and to have them made happen. I'm excited, because we actually have applications that are looking at decentralized government aspects, where you can vote, you can file paperwork and do all these things literally just through an application run by your government and approved, and it's like instantly, like you're talking like no more DMV, no more social security offices, that kind of stuff. So I'm really excited. So If you have any suggestions for topics, I am really trying to get in the habit of making these videos every day so that you guys will have something useful to come to when you open up your phone and take a look at the channel, that I've got something every day for you to come and check out. So if you have any topics you'd like to suggest me talking about, go ahead and write it down there. I'm going to leave some more links in the description because I'd like to obviously give you something to take a look at in the meantime until tomorrow. So peace out.